Guess what it's time for today, guys? A fond look back down memory lane to an extent, even though we are still going to be very current. Are you confused yet? Basically, today's video, we're going to be looking at Calisthenic Movements Level 5 Mastery Program. I'm going to be reviewing Phase 1, as that's what I've been doing for the last 4 weeks or so. Now, before we go further, a lot of you guys may know me as the one who originally reviewed their Level 4 program way back in the winter of 2016. So incredibly, 4 years ago now and counting. And that was the winter that I trained the entirety outside, and that program, Calisthenic Movements Level 4 program, was the very first calisthenics only and paid calisthenics program I used. En route, it got me a back lever, it got me numerous other skills. My pistol squats went up, nothing but fond memories. That program really did give me the foundation. Now, interestingly, I did go on and do their Level 5 program, although I never actually published a review of it. I finished their Level 5 program shortly after. So you're probably thinking, why am I running that again now? Am I running the same template? And have you only just took 3 or 4 years to do that now? Obviously, no. I have been around the scene throughout the whole way through, working on numerous other things, from self-programming to trying other people's programs, and just generally improving all around with different goals and different training styles. But I've always had access to the old portal. And in between those days and nowadays, Calisthenic Movement have brought out a slew of great programs. Obviously, they've got their home workout program, their famous mobility routine. There was also the body transformation packages, and most recently, the nutrition toolbox. So with all of these now on the market, it was easy to forget what their Level 1 to 5 was. But Calisthenic Movement, being the diligent team that they are, actually went back and sort of revived or revitalized and changed and modified and updated all the original Level 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 bundles, which meant that the Level 5 program now is unrecognizable from what I remembered it to be. And when I saw that in my portal, I thought, we're onto something now. Let's see what this program's like. It had a lot of new stuff in it that looked really good. And I thought, because this program wasn't going to be largely weighted, and obviously if you've watched my last video, you'll know that I spent the last 10 weeks before this building up to some big 1RMs in the weighted calisthenics world, that this would be a nice contrast and would almost give me a break, so to speak, give the joints a rest, give the tendons a rest, and allow me to put the new strength I'd gained on that program into some more skill practice in this program, if that makes sense. Let's touch on the layout of the program. The program is essentially 5 4-week phases with test weeks in between, which is traditional of CaliMove, where you test your performance at the beginning of one phase and you test it again at the end, and in an ideal world the numbers should have gone up. Also, the volume increases week to week. So on the first week it's 3 sets, on the second week some of the other exercises go up to 4 sets, but not all of them, and then I think on the final week everything's 4 sets, and then you move to phase 2, which is completely different, similar layout but a completely different sort of set of exercises and rep set schemes all round. Phase 1 is essentially a skill preparatory phase where you do very low, well, not low level, but sort of like entry level conditioning to some of the following skills. So there's straight arm press to handstand, there are human flag drills, there's some one arm pulling, you start to see the front and the back lever, and even just the basic handstand gets some conditioning as well. And now let's talk about likes versus dislikes. So what did I like about it first? Well, I like the fact that they've got some very innovative moves in there. For example, the tuck jump to handstand from a squat, so like squat, deep squat to tuck handstand and back again, is a really nice preparatory drill for straight arm pressing. As anyone who knows handstand training will know that the tuck handstand is a really valuable tool, and I hadn't seen that exercise before, so that was actually new to me. Another one I liked was the handstand switches, which is essentially a wall facing hip tap with your opposite arm, which, even though I've had a little bit of exposure to one arm handstand work, that was still a nice conditioning drill, and that really raped my traps. Like, I remember one of the days where I'd done that, my traps were sore for 3 or 4 days afterwards, like real deep upper trap soreness, similar to like when you pull reasonable volume deadlifts. It was that kind of gig. And I also like the low volume kind of controlled nature of it, so it wasn't so all out as the 10-week program I mentioned a moment ago was, where you had to come in, particularly towards the end, and you had to really go at some of these sets. This was nice to kind of feel everything out and really refine the skill rather than just think of brute force all the time. I found there was a lot more of a technical element to this. So Dislikes. What did I dislike about it? Well, to be honest, the main thing I didn't like about it was the fact I had to keep modifying certain movements. For example, like pistol squats. And this isn't a knock on CaliMove, this is more on a knock on the fact that I'm maybe slightly too advanced in certain areas, but not in others, to sort of be able to do it exactly as written. So pistol squats, I had to add weight to. Also, I had to add weight to ring dips. That was another movement that did that. And I had to scale certain things like core exercises. For example, L-sit raise was too easy, so I had to do a V-sit raise, and instead of doing a candle raise, I had to do a full dragon flag just because the reps and sets were too easy otherwise, and it just wasn't giving me a training stimulus. It just felt like a warm-up. Again, CaliMove aren't expecting someone to come in with my level on certain things, so it's not a programming error on them. They will encourage you in the videos to make it harder, and that's what they did. So I sort of used my own initiative and did that. And lastly, again, it's more of a knock on me. The ego didn't like having to do things like wide hanging side pulls, one arm scap raises. They're uncomfortable movements, they're weaknesses, they're things I'm not really good at, and my ego doesn't get off on having to do those things. My ego much prefers to do a heavy muscle up, heavy dip, heavy pull up, or some cool lever flow, or like a weight shift in a handstand. It doesn't like having to do these sort of like, you know, drills that it thinks are beneath me, but they are by no means beneath me, because some of those drills are actually the hardest thing in the program. So with that said, it's now time for phase 2, which is a lot spicier in my opinion. That's where we see the handstand push-ups against the wall. You see one arm pulling in the form of archer chin-ups. There's front and back lever holds. And there's 15-minute handstand daily practice at the beginning of every workout, which means 4 sessions a week, 15 minutes at the beginning of each day. I'm particularly excited for that because I've been slacking a little bit in the hand balance department, and rather than just balancing a basic handstand, which I can do in my sleep now, that still allows me to work on the specific elements of the handstand that are more conducive to my goals going forward. So for example, weight shifting, flagging the hips from side to side, holding tucks, bringing the knees down, tuck negatives, presses, tuck slides, etc. So that's going to add a whole new sort of dynamic to the training. Stay tuned for that. In about 4 weeks time or so, when that phase is done, I will bring you up to speed on everything, including some clips from what has been going on. If you like this video, please like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to keep updating you with more and more reviews and just good bits of info about bodyweight training and training in general. I have an article down below on my website, straighttalkingfitness.com, if you like a read, where I go into a little bit more detail on some of the things I've experienced. You can also find all of my other reviews, including Calisthenic Movements Mobility Program and the original level 4 review that everyone seems to know and love so well. They're all there on my website as well. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Have yourself a good week ahead, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.